Yo, what is good, dev guys? Welcome back. In this video, we're going to start with the UI. So, I'm going to go to my dev folder. Let's create a new folder for UI. And we're going to create a folder for modular character. Okay. And then inside of this puppy, we want to actually create a widget blueprint, just a regular old widget blueprint. This one's going to be user widget, so we're going to call it WBP. This is going to be the modular character screen. We're going to focus up here. So first thing I want to add is a canvas panel. First off, let's just go ahead and drag that on there. Drag that puppy there. This I want to possibly set it to, there is the inkling that I want to set this to desired size, but I'm gonna just use the full screen because we need something here. Basically the way that this section is going to work is that we're going to have like a widget row right here. We're going to have another widget right here that displays the characters, meshes changing, and so on and so forth. Those two things are going to be separate widgets. And you know what I actually want to do? If we go to the graph, go to class settings, we can actually change this to be a Lyra activatable widget, because this is going to host the widgets that we actually want to show to the screen. So this is our host widget. We can call this modular character screen underscore host, which is basically the activatable widget allows you to have this logic that pushes and pulls these different content layers to screen so that it's a little bit easier for you. And then you create the widgets separately inside and add those to that. So this is going to be the WBP. And this is going to be modular character selection. And then I also, I'll leave this inside of here. I don't want to make them two separate ones because then I'll have to put a delegate and talk to that one. It's just, that's too crazy. So let's make another canvas panel here. And realistically, yeah, I'm gonna make this a canvas panel. This just allows me to have some freedom here. So let's make a vertical box, and this is going to be our selection host. Basically, we want this to be kind of this whole side of the screen. So I'll set the anchor to this guy right here, and then I am going to remove the size or remove the offset bottom. And we can take this size X and then let's just make that like, what's half of, what is it? 1080, what is it, 1920? So 1920 divided by 2. That should put us right in the center. So we got that. I'm gonna actually duplicate this and then put this one on the right side. And then we'll get rid of this this offset position. And we want the size to actually be negative, or actually we don't have to set it to negative. We can set this X alignment to 1. So that way it's lined up on the outside. So now we got these two boxes here that we'll use as our containers. So this is our selection containers, and this is our feedback container. I said container, Jesus, container. And this just needs to be singular, it doesn't need to be plural. Okay, so inside of here, I'm going to drop an overlay into that, and then we just wanted to fill this whole box. And inside this overlay, I can add a border. The border will allow me to have like a backdrop pretty much. And we'll set this to fill as well. And then I'm gonna just use some Unreal things. They have this border opaque underscore opaque, what is it called? Here it is. MI, this is material instance, UI, menu border, soft, dark blue, opaque. So like that, it comes with a little bit of animation, it's cool. So here, this is where we'll have this little backdrop, and we'll leave that be. And the reason we did an overlay is so that I can continue putting stuff in here. So let's just label, make sure we labeling things as our background. For this, I'm going to hard set everything. I'm not going to make everything dynamic like I would in my own project, just because that'll take too much time. So I'm going to make a horizontal box and I'm going to put it inside this overlay. And you can see where it is right there. I actually want to put this all the way across, and at the top is fine, but we want to add some top padding. So top, let's say about 10, no, that's too little, about 50 pixels. Give us a little space there. And then if we right click this and say wrap with size box, we can actually override this height and give it a value here. You see, as we increase this value, it goes up and down. I'm gonna put it to like 45 pixels, maybe 60. And then inside of this horizontal box, I am just going to drag some buttons. We'll use the Lyra, let's use the Lyra menu button. Drag that in there. And if we just duplicate this, it'll fit itself in there. Let me put this, actually, you can see that the minimum width is set to 320. I'm gonna set this minimum width to maybe 220. Give me 100 pixels here. And if we do that for all of them, realistically, I'm gonna save some time and just delete these and do this. Okay, 220 is not enough. We need to go shorter. Okay, so let's do 120. Okay, you don't want to listen to me. I think it's because it's sizing to the content of the lettering. Let me see. All right, they're about to lose me. Sorry, Lyra menu buttons. I know you look cool, but I'm gonna just use a regular button just because I know it's going to size to the size of the actual box here. So let's call this our head, and maybe put button on there. So head button. And this is what we're going to be using to filter. We'll set this to fill so that it fills. And then I'm going to duplicate this 4 times. And realistically, I fucked up there. Let me add some padding on this thing. Let's add like 3 pixels of padding all around it. Maybe 5. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, Control D to duplicate it. And you see we got a little bit of space in there. That looks good. Okay, so I also screwed up, and you know, you can screw up and redo things. It's not too bad. Text. Let's put a comment text inside the button, and then we'll set this to head, all caps. And now we'll duplicate this because I do believe that we actually have what we want. Okay, so head, we'll call this puppy arms. And these are just our filters. You can change the style if you want, make it look pretty if you want. I am not. This is the torso, and last but not least, the legs. Whoops. Okay, there we go. We got our filter button, so we can also put a name around this. This is our filter button container. Moving along, let's make another horizontal box, but another vertical box. This vertical box, how do I want to do this? Yeah, I'm gonna drag this in there, and we want to set this to be centered, or filled on the horizontal and centered here. And actually, yeah, that's not too, no, we can put it on the top, and I'm just gonna give it some top padding. Let's give it like 200 pixels so that it's not too far away from this, because if you center it, it looks kind of weird. So we'll leave that, and then of course we'll wrap this with a size box so that we can alter its size on the height. And let's just give this like, let's say we want our widget, like our icons, we want them to be square, so we want the height to be like a good value. I'll just do 64 pixels. That looks too small. Let's do twice that at 128, and then we'll have like these little squares that fit inside of there. So in this vertical box, we're going to do something that maybe people don't know about, a wrap box. Not a wrap box. Actually, I'm going to do a scroll box. Actually, yeah, we'll do a scroll box, right? So this scroll box will fill this vertical box. We want to scroll horizontally. So you see this is set to vertical, but we want to scroll horizontally. because once this gets filled, we want to be able to scroll like this. Just makes more sense. And then inside the scroll box, we're actually going to put a wrap box. And the wrap box is actually what's going to be the thing that we fill. So this is our, what are we going to call this? This is our part icon container. We're going to set this to fill, which it already is. We want the alignment to be to the left, and we do want it to be horizontal. And just so my own sanity, yes, we're on horizontal. Okay, so as this box gets filled with icons, it will wrap to the right. So let's just do an example here. Let's add an image here to this box. You can see the size of this image is kind of weird. So if we set it to, okay, that's the, wait, what the hell? Oh, whoops, I didn't want to do that. Set that to fill. This is also set to fill. We might want to set it to center, but that does not look that good. So I'm thinking that we might have to do a size box on this image because it's 32 by 32, but since it doesn't have anything, maybe that's why. Nah, it's getting squeezed, so it's something with the scroll box settings. Let me see, what do we got? What happens if we do square this? It makes it too small. I could set this to, not auto, I don't really like auto. Let's set it to fill. There is a setting somewhere that should allow me to alter this. Is it the vertical box that's doing that? Nah, that just looks weird. Okay. So one thing I could do is these images, I could like make them their own widget so that they come with a specific size. Because if I wrap this with a size box, like if I wrap this actual image with a size box and set this size box to override the width and height and set it to be 128 by 128, we'll get a square there. And then if I duplicate this, so maybe we'll add some padding as well, maybe like 5 pixels of padding. And then we'll duplicate this inside of the scroll or inside of the, I put this in the wrong spot. That's why. Okay, we need to put this in the container here in the wrap box. Jesus Christ. So maybe we don't even need the size box. We'll see. I can actually test that by doing that. Nope, we need the size box. It looks terrible. Put it back in the size box. And then if we duplicate this, you'll see that it's wrapping weirdly. So let's take a look at that. I want it to wrap horizontal. And we're setting it to fill. It's actually wrapping way faster than I would like it to. Even with this set to, we have no inner slot padding. What's the wrap size? No. Horizontal alignment? No. Okay, so I'm not going to keep this wrap box. It's causing me issues that I do not want to deal with right now. I'm gonna just put these in the scroll box. And I'm going to get rid of this guy. And now we can kind of see that our sizing is weird. So I wonder if I square this. No, that doesn't do anything. Take the padding away. Okay, the padding kind of screws it up. So what I could do is kind of pad, and we're just doing this to test what it'll look like. I can pad this instead of padding the actual box, and maybe it'll just give me a little bit of, no, that looks like dog shit. Let me see, what can we do here? So without the padding, it actually doesn't look too bad. Like I said, I'm not trying to make them pretty. I do want it to kind of look okay though. Like with some freaking space in between those, you know what I'm talking about? Like just a little bit of space. Maybe we add padding to the image. There we go. Add padding to the image inside of the size box, and that will give me the spacing that I need so that we don't have these things just sitting right on top of each other. So essentially what we're gonna, whoa, what the hell? I duplicated the scroll box. Essentially what we're gonna do is for each of the items inside of this filter, we're gonna fill up this scroll box, and you see here, oh, as you scroll further, it kind of screws up this to add the scroll widget. Now I wonder, does that screw up my square, like the square nature of my images? Let me go back. Yeah, it does mess with the squareness of my images. We can set the scroll bar to collapsed, and let me see. I mean, the player probably would need to see the scroll bar. Oof. Okay, another thing you can do is, this is just so, and once again, I am testing so that this actually will look decent. We can actually add the same amount of padding that we will need. So I'm gonna add 10 on the padding there. That way, whenever we go over the scroll, so whenever we go over and it brings up the actual, and let me change this back to visible here. Yeah, so whenever it brings up the actual scroll bar, oh no, it still messes up the squareness, bro. Why? Why is that a thing, brother? Okay, yeah, we probably not gonna show, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. We not gonna show this scroll bar. Scroll bar padding is 2. Let's put it on 0. Is that square? I can't tell if that's square. Yeah, let's take away that scroll bar padding and keep our squares. These don't look square. They're not square, actually. Keep it a buck. There we go. Okay, now those are looking square. I can't really tell. Let's put a square image in there. One that we've used. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. All right. So I'm going to keep this as an example. What we could do, I'm going to delete this here, delete all of these, and I can copy this right here, and I'm gonna go over to making another widget blueprint, user widget WBP, and this is just going to be the item icon. We will paste this here, and let's set this to desired right here, to desired, so that we get this size right here at all times. And then just to test that that icon will work, we can come over here, let's delete this item right here, and let's actually add that item icon and see if it keeps that same tenacity that we gave it there. In the scroll box, looks great. Let's duplicate it. Let's see if the squareness messes up when we go over the wrap. No, it still looks square. It doesn't like change to a rectangle. I think it does a little bit, but it's not so bad. Yeah, it like shrinks. You can see it like squash a little bit, but it's not too bad. I mean, like I said, make it perfect when you want to, but I'm gonna make this a variable, call it my icon container. Over here, basically all we need is another border. So realistically, I'm just gonna copy this guy and drag it over here into this container, and then just remove the button filter. And then I'm gonna keep this size box. I'm going to center it and remove the padding, and just set the size to this, and the width, let's keep it square. Actually, we can go, let's center it like that. Let's go 800 by 800. So we got like this little square here, and then we basically just want to put and let me delete this guy. We just want to put an image in here, and this is going to show ourselves or our player what they're actually switching to here, and that's some code that we'll have to write as well. So we got this. I think the only other thing we will need is buttons to accept and, you know, deny or cancel the changes or apply the changes. So let's take a look at this, and let's copy this filter button container, and I'm actually going to shoot this down to the bottom like this. Let's give it 100 on the padding. Oh, should I said 1,000? Jesus Christ. Actually, take the padding to 0, and let's give it some bottom padding of 100. And we only need 2 buttons in there. So this is our confirm container. Whoops. Yeah, I named that right. Okay. And let's delete these two. Like I said, make it pretty if you want. My OCD almost fucked up and try to make this pretty. One thing I did screw up on is I didn't call these the right button. So this is the arms button. Let's call this guy the torso button and the legs button. Okay. And confirm container, let's name these confirm, or let's do apply or back, and this will be the back button. You gotta remember to put button on these. Okay, so we'll go back here, we'll apply here, and of course let's change the text to back, all caps, and the text on this one is apply changes. Right. Okay. So we'll save that. And let me do this thing I like to do. Save on compile always. That way I don't have to remember to save whenever I compile, even though it's a force of habit. So this is our widget. This is what it's going to look like. And then inside of the actual host, we will bring this widget in. So we'll bring in our modular character selection screen, and we'll set it to be anchored to the entire screen with 0 offset. And in the next video, we'll start programming this widget to show our data, our icons, and get this working, and then I'll get the visual feedback working, because in order for this to actually be tested, we actually need to be inside the level. So we'll do it step by step, chunk by chunk. So if you guys are ready for that, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.